Steven, do you have Super Bowl fever?
No.
Why?
Am I supposed to? Is that a thing to
Yeah,
have Super Bowl fever?
it's the Super Bowl, man. It's Super Bowl week. We're at the Super Bowl. Half of us are, at least. I'm in LA. You're still in the Bay Area, but I'm here for the Super Bowl. I'm excited. I'm hyped. Come on, man.
Have you gone to Radio Row yet?
No, that's at the convention center at LA Live. I am across the street from SoFi, where a lot of stuff is going on still. But no, I'm not at Radio Row.
Is NFL Network at Radio Row?
Yeah, I think they're doing some shows from Media Row, but yeah, not the whole.
Fun.
Yeah, is it making
No,
you remember things from 5, 6 years ago when we were doing all this shit in the Bay Area for the game of Levi's?
no, I wasn't involved in any of that.
Yes, you were.
No, I wasn't.
Didn't you have to fill in and do some engineering at the convention center?
Never
What?
did. Yeah, never did. I just heard all the stories.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you were
That
there
was
with
it.
us for. Were you there with us for Low Neil's party?
Nope.
I'm sorry, I'm involving you in all these memories, and you weren't a part of any of them.
No, I was working at nights at the time. You know, when you work at nights in radio, nobody really cares
Oh, that's
about
right.
anything that you're doing, and you're not allowed to be involved in anything. So, when Super Bowl Radio Row was happening, it was at a time early in my radio career. Not complaining about it. I'm not going to act like I deserved it because I was only there for, like 2 months by the time it came around, but heard a lot of cool stories out of it, though.
Yeah, we'll relive some of those stories throughout the week while we're covering things here live from Super Bowl 56. Just your opinion, man. Steven, Derek. So you don't have Super Bowl fever, Steven. I understand that, but are you at least what are you looking forward to most for this game come Sunday
Well,
between the Rams and Bengals?
Well, I think it's going to be a good game. I don't believe in any of what anyone says when it comes to the ratings and the
Yeah.
the matchup in general. It's like, oh, it's Rams Bengals. Who's looking forward to Rams Bengals? I actually am. I haven't got a fever over it, but
That's good, actually. You don't want to get sick during this time.
I'm excited for people to still try and claim that Matthew Stafford isn't a good quarterback. I'm excited for Joe Burrow possibly getting a ring and becoming the first player in history to do so, winning the Heisman and the national championship and a Super Bowl, and to do it by the time he's going to be, 26, turning 26?
Mm-hmm.
There's a few things I'm looking forward to. And then the halftime show. The halftime show I'm looking forward to because I just saw that there's going to be the sign language, people doing sign language in front of the stage so the deaf audience can understand what's going on with the performance. And
It's going to be a lot of censoring.
dude, can you imagine being like Eminem's sign language person or like you got to follow around with
I've
every
never
word
seen an
he's gonna
ass
say.
like that.
Yeah.
You make my pee-pee go boing, boing, boing. I doubt they're going to play that song in the Super Bowl, but
I highly doubt that that's going to be out of every song that Eminem's ever had. I don't think "Ass Like That" is going to be number one.
well, there's time to talk about this, but I've always wondered with these artists, with the exception of Mary J. Blige, because she usually keeps it clean, how are they going to do this? Because at NFL Network, we've been using their music, and it's just funny to use the censored version of the songs. And some of the songs are so old, like Snoop Dogg's first songs and Dr. Dre's first solo stuff. Back in the day, it's censored by having the curse words go in reverse, so you can still tell what they're saying. So on TV, we're putting highlights together of the Rams and Bengals, and there's censored version of the songs, but you can still tell what they're saying. It's just hilarious to me. But I would love to know, they're gonna play all the classics probably, and they got to do it in a 20-minute window here. But this is probably the most, I wouldn't say risque, but they're artists that have explicit lyrics in their songs, and this is the first time I think that the NFL is kind of taking a chance on a halftime performance. They've kept it clean since probably Janet Jackson's, boob popping out 20
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
So this will be interesting to me of, between nothing but a G thing and all of Eminem songs and
Can you
Snoop Dogg
imagine if?
songs,
Can
Gin
you
and
imagine
Juice.
if? Can you imagine if they sang like "Ain't No Fun" and then like Snoop Dogg comes in and he's like, "Guess
Guess
who's
who's
back?"
back?
house with a
Yeah.
for your mother.
There's nothing worse than watching like a Jimmy Fallon performance or a Stephen Colbert performance where they play these songs late at night and just have to censor themselves. It's just not
Yeah.
any good. But I
No.
expect the halftime performance to be a lot of fun, and I am looking forward to the Super Bowl. But we got all the time in the world to talk about that on Friday. Actually, are you cool to do a show on Friday, Stephen?
The hell? We're doing one on Friday.
Well, I got to work on Thursday. Friday
we'll
work?
talk. We'll talk.
Okay, we'll talk. We'll talk. But let's just focus on the here and now for this show. So Steven,
Yeah.
we got a lot to talk about. And there's a lot of NBA trades going on today because the deadline is going down on Thursday. So we had two big trades today. We got CJ McCollum going to the Pelicans.
Yeah.
Along with Larry Nance, and I forget who else is part of that trade. But the big one is that CJ McCollum goes to the Pelicans. And then we got this one that was, Woj tweets a lot, and he's bound to mess up from time to time. I saw you taking shots of him on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well then you explain the trade then, Mr. Making fun of everybody.
What, you mean Domas Sabonis and Jeremy Lamb for Tyrese Halliburton? You mean that trade?
Yes, that trade. The one that Adrian Wojnarowski, I guess, got Domantas Sabonis' name wrong and also included the same person twice.
Jeremy Lamb.
Jeremy Lamb twice. You forgot about Justin Holiday. Yes.
Yeah, Jeremy. I've done it before. Look, man, I took a shot at myself. I was trying to let Woj know that it's okay that you did that. It's relatable, dude. We've all done that. I mean, shit. On my morning show today, from 5 to 6, pregame show, Monday through Friday, 95.7 the game. On my morning show today, I said it was Wednesday. It's Tuesday. I also called Trey Mann from the Oklahoma City Thunder. I called him Terrence Mann.
Oh.
So there you go. I mean,
we all making all these mistakes.
Yeah, we all make mistakes, Woj. It's okay. I was just letting him know it's okay. I wasn't taking a shot at him.
I know, but you tend to do that
as a shot.
I was going after you because you tend to do that with me a lot because I tend to not pronounce my T's and misspeak all the time.
Well, it's a shame that the Tennessee Titans aren't in the Super Bowl this year.
Thank God. I want to be able to say their name.
I'm helping you. Don't need to take it as an attack.
I'm not taking it as an attack. Hey, it's all good, baby. Just your opinion, man. Real quick before we get to the NBA trades, you were down at Pebble Beach this weekend watching the celebrities golf. Tell us about that experience.
Yes. So didn't know what to expect. Never been. I love how you're in that. I love how you're looking at me that way. That's great. This is good.
On.
Get there. Josh Allen was going to tee off by the time I got there, and you had all these Bills fans already approaching their way to the first tee. And this was on the Saturday. This wasn't on the Sunday. And he just lasers one, absolutely rifles it. It was unreal. But it was a good day. I mean, we went around because you can go one of two ways. You can go from the first hole to the second hole and follow them along there, or you can go the other way, which leads you to the 18th, and you kind of backtrack your way along the course. And we went the opposite way. We backtracked the first time. And as you're walking along the path, sometimes you intersect with an area where the celebrities and the golfers are going to walk so that they can get to the next hole. So we were in between, I want to say the 4th and the 5th, or it could have been the 5th and the 6th. I don't know which one, but we're just standing there waiting for the volunteer person to grab the rope, because they put the rope across and you're just waiting there with the rope. Grab the rope and, open it up for us so that we can go. But we're waiting for this group, and that group involved Bill Murray. And I didn't have any idea. We didn't know where we were trying to walk to the main concession area, which was around the 5th, 6th, and 7th hole. And Bill Murray's just standing right there. It's like, damn. It's Bill Murray, and I take a photo. He's kind of far. He's through a crowd, but you could see his face perfectly. I got a good photo of it. But then I'm looking down at my phone, just so stoked on this, and I had to send it to people who would be just infatuated with Bill Murray. My brother,
me,
family, friends, all that stuff. No, not to you. I didn't send it to you, actually. That's kind of insulting, isn't it?
It is a little insulting, yeah.
I'm sorry. But anyway, so I'm just standing there. I'm sending it to people. And then I look up and he's right there, like 6 feet away, like at most 6 feet away from me.
Did you touch him?
Behind the line? Did not touch him. And I was like trying to be casual about it, but it was Bill fucking Murray.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I felt
Cinderella
like,
story.
felt like Woody Harrelson in Zombieland when the way he reacted. That's what I was thinking in my head. Just Bill fucking Murray, you know. And
yes, I was thinking like, dude, they were in a better movie together called Kingpin, but yeah, sure, Zombieland.
Oh, of course, here we go, old comedy guy. So now,
it is a better movie.
And Kingpin kind of stunk. So
continue.
What?
I think Kingpin's a great movie, but that's just my opinion. Sorry, continue with the story.
It's pretty great. I'm trying to get you riled up. You get really mad if I say classic comedies suck. So naturally, everyone is like, "Oh, Caddyshack," and trying to make all Caddyshack references, as one does on a golf course. But I was thinking Space Jam the entire time. So I was wondering whether to say "It is alive" or
that would have been good. That would have been good.
Or "Let's go Bulls." But
yeah.
But it didn't work out, and
nothing came out.
By the time he was gone, it was just all this thinking had gone through my head about what to do, and he was done. He was gone. So that was my experience with Bill Murray. Saw him eventually later on in the course. We waited to the 16th hole because we got a great spot at the 16th green. Mookie Betts shot one in a bunker right. He shot one in a bunker right in front of us at the edge of the bunker. Had an incredibly tough shot, like where the flag was placed. Compared to the bunker, like a really hard shot because the flag was so close to the green, whereas his shot in the bunker was far away. Dude, he hit it right up to the pin just for a gimme putt. His caddy walked by and was like, "He's got no shot." Like, he's got no chance. And he ended up, making the shot. So it was a day full of stuff like that. And then on Sunday, kind of just followed around Jordan Spieth and a couple other golfers, managed to walk around the course, and it's unreal out there. It's a different world. The people that live out there just live different lives.
Must be nice.
Yeah, there's just rich houses out there, and there's one moment where I think it was like the 13th fairway, and my brother and I were just walking along there and kind of just waiting for golfers to go by. And we're looking across the way, and there's this old dude who just is scampering his way behind security, like with a bag and stuff. And it looks like he was sneaking onto the course. And we just see security.
You call that scampering, the motion you just did?
Scampering. He was
okay. I think that's normal walking, but okay.
Well, he was walking. I can't move my fingers that fast.
The scamper's
yeah, whatever. So he's sneaking his way across the course to get into the crowd. And the security guard is just staring at him, not making any sort of moves. Lets him go. Then he walks by us, and he could see that me and my brother were laughing. And he's just like, he's like, "Look, if the guy wants to get onto the course, he can get in if he can't afford it." And it's just like,
who was he, Peyton Manning?
Yeah, no, I don't know who. Sorry, is that what it sounded like? But it was like, dude,
Eli, if you're gonna try to get on the course,
what? Take a look at this guy running across the field. But I was just thinking, like, dude, who are you? Just let poor guy, just because he can't afford tickets at Pebble Beach, you got to make fun of him for it. Like, all right, fine.
That's the golf crowd.
Do you, man? Do you? But it was a great time, man. It was unreal being out there.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. You get a couple of drinks. You walk along the golf course. Great for people watching, too.
Well, I'm glad you had
Great for people watching.
And you were there just for Saturday?
Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. So you had a great weekend. And so then I guess you missed out on all the greatness of the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
And you didn't miss. Yeah, you didn't miss anything. I know this is like a sports topic every year. The Pro Bowl sucks. It does. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just going to be something that we don't care about. And yet it still does decent ratings. I think I got a 6.7 million people watching it. At the end of the day, it's not real football. It's something in between the week that It doesn't happen for the Super Bowl where the teams are coming into town, and there's really no way to fix it, in my opinion. So it is what it is at this point. It's not really anything that we can complain about.
Are we too dismissive though of players being selected to the Pro Bowl? Because you said last week, all that matters to me is an All-Pro vote. I don't
But
care
wouldn't
about
you
a Pro
agree,
Bowl.
though?
Only when it comes to the elite players, the elite of the elite, guys who we really care about to look back on their career and say, oh, well, he made an All-Pro team this year, an All-Pro team that year. Like guys like Tom Brady, hell, maybe even Russell Wilson, who's been in the news lately because Ryan Clark brought up on ESPN that we speak too highly of him. We act like he goes to any team, they're a contender for a Super Bowl. So, and I kind of disagree with that, but hey, it's Ryan Clark. He can have his opinion. It's just his opinion, man. But when it comes to players like Max Crosby getting voted to the Pro Bowl, Deion Dawkins from the Bills getting voted to the Pro Bowl, other players like that, I just think it means something to these guys. And I think we're just, as regular fans, we're super dismissive of it just because the Pro Bowl game doesn't mean anything. But still, it means you're a pretty good player if you get voted to the roster. At
No,
least
of
a pretty
course.
good player.
No, I'm not taking anything away from guys that get voted to the Pro Bowl. I think that it's a very high honor. It's obviously you're selected amongst your peers and the coaches and the fans. That's a big deal. But in the grand scheme of things, if I'm comparing it to the All-Pro team, and we'll talk about this today, the All-Pro team is the Oscars, and the Pro Bowl to me is like the Golden Globes. It's just not in the same realm of honor, in my opinion.
So if someone gets a Golden Globe nomination or Golden Globe win, for Best Actor, then you're going to say, well, not an Oscar. Get out of here. You suck.
I don't have that opinion, Steven. I don't react that way to things. But I think that the Pro Bowl, like the Golden Globes, is a good honor, but a ceremony shouldn't exist anymore. That's what I was saying. That was the comparison I was making there. And we'll talk about the Oscar nominations that came out today. But yeah, I mean, it's good. Like it's hard. Like Kyler Murray missed how many games this season? 6, 7, and he got voted to the Pro Bowl. I don't agree with that.
Okay, fair enough.
And it turns into like a popularity contest where guys that don't deserve it get it every year just based on their name. So I'm not taking anything away from it. I think that the Pro Bowl, when you get selected to a Pro Bowl, it's a big deal, and you look back and it's part of your resume of when you played in the league. But as far as an event in a game, I think just say this guy's a Pro Bowl selection and let's just not have the event anymore. But they're going to have it, and we'll complain about it, but it is what it is at this point, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Did you see any of the Winter Olympics? Because I know we talked about it last week, that since nothing's going on, we'll watch that. But I didn't watch a single second of that.
No, I haven't watched anything with the sound on. I watched the
it's in the background stuff.
I watched the Olympic intros, though, the opening ceremony until like the United States was called. Did you watch any of that?
I did, but I also was like, this is, taped. It's not real. Well, it's real. I shouldn't say that. It's just like, it's not live. And I always hate when they do the opening ceremonies after the fact that the event has already started. And I'm weird in the sense that I think that the Olympics should be live and just put it on NBC Sports Network, and people that want to watch it at 4:00 in the morning will watch it. But that's just me.
Did you see the people along the walkway, though? The people who were working for them, they had to like clap and cheer for every single country that was being announced. And the way that they had to do it was to skip in place and like go from side to side. It was so funny because we were watching those and Jesse and I are like, okay, you know what? We have time here. Let's go get some alcohol. We're going to be able to go to Safeway, which is right down the street. Be able to grab a quick 12-pack of beer, then we'll come back, and by the time we're back, United States will have already won't have been called yet, so we'll have plenty of time. Perfect. So we leave after the first few countries are announced, and we get back, and you could tell along the walkway that some of these dancers were just tired.
Oh yeah, dude.
How need some water or something. Huh?
How long is it?
Oh God, it's forever. Takes
they announce all the names. These people have to skip and hop for 4 hours, 5 hours.
Every country, not all the names, but they do get every country in there, and they got to announce everything like that, which takes a very long time. Very long time.
Even Putin was falling asleep.
Putin?
You see him? He was there. I don't know why Russia's in the Olympics, but he was there.
I saw Putin. I didn't see Putin.
Let's move on. Killing me here. Let's get back to these NBA trades that happened today because we have a deadline happening on Thursday. And I already mentioned CJ McCollum traded to the Pelicans, and you got Sabonis and a bunch of people from the Pacers going to the Kings. Steven, not to mention Buddy Hield, and who else for the Kings going back to going in return for the Pacers?
Hang on.
You know this trade better than me.
Let me just double check here and make sure, because there were so many reports. Apparently, Jeremy Lamb twice, Domas Sabonis.
Yes, Jeremy Lamb, Domantas Sabonis for Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson. Of course, that second Jeremy Lamb is for Justin Holiday. As for the CJ McCollum trade to the Pelicans, he goes with Larry Nance and Tony Snell in exchange for Josh Hart, Nikolai Alexander Walker, Tomas. These guys don't matter. Anyway, that's the trades today. Two big trades for the NBA. Steven, your thoughts on the first of potentially many trades? Maybe not. We always get duped into the trade deadline, but your thoughts on these two trades that happened today in the NBA?
Does this really impact anything that's going to go on? Like, does it really?
I don't think so. I saw everyone tweet out, look at the Pelicans now. Please wake me up when Zion plays, and then we'll start talking about the Pelicans being legit. And look, I think that CJ McCollum is a great player, but I don't rely on him as a number one. So this will be interesting to see how he plays with Zion and Brandon Ingram and everybody on the Pelicans. But I think that Dame Lillard made him a great player. I would be interested to see how he plays on his own. I don't really have high expectations.
CJ McCollum is a good player, but you can't win with him as the number one on your team. You can't win with him as the number two on your team. You can maybe win with him as the number three best player on your team in today's day and age. But my whole opinion is with this, the Sacramento Kings stink.
Yes.
And not just their team. Actually, I mean, they still got Domantas Sabonis back in the trade, and he's one of my favorite players in the NBA. I really like Sabonis. But they ruined what Tyrese Halliburton's goal was to do, which was to bring the Kings back to the top franchise within the Western Conference. But there was a report I heard way early in the season and to this other podcast that I listened to called The Mismatch with Kevin O'Connor from The Ringer and Chris Vernon, who also works for The Ringer, does a bunch of stuff for the Grizzlies. And he's pretty plugged in. He has sources. And sometimes he has these, not reports, but he has I'm hearing blah, blah, blah. I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that. Yeah. And very early on in the season, when they were talking about the Kings and just everything that was going on there, he's like, I heard pretty from people well within the Sacramento Kings organization that Tyrese Halliburton is miserable, that he just doesn't want to be there. Now, he played very well the past 9 games or something like that. But other than that, this second year for him has not been as expected. So that trade to me just goes to show how I think that Tyrese Halliburton's people really wanted to get him out there of Sacramento. And what Sacramento got in return, it's not going to bring them back to being a winning team at all. I don't know. These trades that I'm looking at, man, these teams can do all they want, but there are too many stars on all these other teams for them to really impact the game. The one that I do find pretty intriguing is the Clippers. The Clippers in the trade that they made along with the Portland Trailblazers.
Christian Covington and
correct.
Yes. Who else was that? Eric Bledsoe. There's a lot of players in that. I was only the impression that Eric Bledsoe. Yeah, Norman Powell. I was only the impression that Eric Bledsoe was playing well for the Clippers this season, but I guess I was wrong. Yeah. I mean, well, it's, the bigger topic here is that the Trailblazers are blowing up their team, and the only guy of significance remaining on the roster is Damian Lillard. And there's a lot of stuff going on. They're saying it's a cat and mouse game at this point between the Brooklyn Nets and the 76ers for this James Harden for Ben Simmons trade. I honestly, if I was doing this, I would trade James Harden and Kyrie Irving off the roster, do a 3-way trade, send Kyrie somewhere he wants to go, maybe Portland, send James Harden to Philadelphia, and in return, Kevin Durant gets to play with Ben Simmons and Damian Lillard. But Damian Lillard, they the Oakland guy that he is loyal to the soil, and he is going to stay with Portland if he had it his way. But it doesn't really make sense for him at this point to stick with the Trailblazers if they're going to blow up the team.
It's too late. It's too late. Like the Blazer. It's both Damian Lillard and the Blazers. They're both in part here. They're both to blame for what's going on with this situation. The Blazers were way too late for this type of trade to try and build anything with Dame. They couldn't have predicted everything happening with Ben Simmons and all of that. But I just can't help but think, man, like we loved Dame and Giannis both for in a time when all these transactions were being made, when you had LeBron going from the Cavs to the Lakers, you had KD going from OKC to the Warriors to the Nets, and James Harden bouncing around, and all these superstars leaving their respective teams. Chris Paul, going to the Suns. In this time when there was so much movement, Dame could have been one of those guys on the move. And he said, you know what? No, I'm staying put. I'm going to stick here with the Blazers. This is my team. I want to win a championship here. Then he's talking crap about the guys who did win championships, even though he wasn't winning them himself just because he's loyal. And it's the same with Giannis too. But Giannis ended up winning a championship because his front office managed to work around that, worked up a trade for Drew Holiday, had Chris Middleton already, built their team up, then ended up winning a championship. Did they necessarily deserve it last year? Yeah. Did they get a little lucky because of some injuries? Sure. But man, it's just on both sides for Dame and for the front office of the Blazers. It's just, it doesn't feel like his career is wasted because he's had a damn good one, but
yeah,
going to be without a championship for the foreseeable future. I don't know if he's ever going to win one. At least at this rate. You never know. You never know what can happen in the NBA.
Well, there's a lot of great players that haven't won championships, and I want to hold it against Damian Lillard. But I also admire the fact that, he doesn't want to do that. He has a lot of respect for the Trailblazers for selecting him. I'm sure deep down inside, if you asked him, he would say, I want to be a Warrior because that's the team that I grew up with. But it's just tough with Steph Curry being there. And I don't think, obviously we all say like, oh, we would love Dame to play with Steph Curry, but I don't think it would work together. They're just two guys that play too similar, and I just don't think it would work together. But I would love to see Damian Lillard on a better team. I would love to see him play with Kevin Durant in Brooklyn, but I just don't see it happening. He wants to make it work at Portland, and I respect that.
Do you think he regrets any of that, though?
Regrets calling out the guys that went and did that?
No, not really. Just regrets sticking with his team, not making the move when possible. You don't think so at all?
Dude, he is a loyal guy. So at the end of the day, he would rather be something that he isn't. You know what I mean? Like, he is not going to fake, like, yeah, sure, let's go pretend like I care about joining another team and, doing a super team thing. That's not in his DNA. He wants to be the underdog and go from the ground up and try to make the Trailblazers work. I respect that. At the end of the day, though, I would love to see him on the Brooklyn Nets or another team.
And at the end of the day, he's more likely than not going to be without a ring, which is...
But that's his decision, though. That's his decision.
Okay.
As a man with a microphone in front of your face, have to respect that.
I guess I do.
Damn right you do.
I mean, you got to evolve, Like, you got to adapt with it. It's like super team is just kind of like the term like cancel culture to me. It's like a term we use to make it sound like player movement is a bad decision. Like going to a good team to win a championship is a bad move.
Cancel culture is real, okay? Just look at your buddy Joe Rogan.
Yeah, but it's my buddy. But like
the timing of that podcast on Saturday wasn't great.
Not great, but we can move on from that. No one watched anyway. So
just that episode. The Greg Papa one did well. The other one,
yeah. But of course. But I don't know, man. It's just you got to evolve with the times, and if that's what's happening, and you're a superstar within the NBA, I mean, and that's what other superstars are doing, then you got to compete with those other superstars. And he got close. It's not to say that, making it's nothing to scoff at to just go to a Western Conference championship. But after that, I mean, at some point, you got to make a move. And you got to realize it's probably the smarter decision. But if winning an NBA ring isn't what his number one goal is, then fine. then okay. And I understand where he's coming from, but I mean, dude, he's in his 30s now, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird situation because I do respect him for staying there too, and I understand it being from the Bay Area, and I know where he's coming from, but I also see where all these other teams are doing, and you don't get a situation like with the Phoenix Suns every year where you get a number 1 overall pick who eventually turns into a very, very good player, where you get a veteran in Chris Paul. It's kind of like, Devin Booker. He's just stuck with the Suns when Draymond is saying, get my man Book out of Phoenix. like I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a weird situation. I kind of feel bad for him.
Well, the Trailblazers are put in a good position to win now, or I should say, be in a position to get talent around him. They've cleared up a lot of cap space. They have draft picks.
True.
And it could be enticing for a free agent this upcoming offseason to be like, hey, there's room for me to join Dame. I'm going to go team up with him. So they could make a super team at Portland for all we know.
But you need more than one. You need more than one.
Dame will do some recruiting. If nothing happens in the next 2 days and he stays on the Trailblazers, he's not just going to sit by and say, "Well, this is the team." No, he wants to win. So if he stays
that's exactly
there,
what's been said though for the past 4 years is that he's going to recruit guys to go to Portland, and it hasn't happened.
Well, hey, we'll see what happens.
It hasn't happened.
Okay, well, that's his decision.
We will see what happens. And
we will.
I do feel bad because I really do like Dame, and I want him to win a championship.
Outside of everybody on the Warriors, and I still have love for Kevin Durant. He's right there with those guys as one of my favorite players. I would love to see him have success. Yeah,
the number 1 guy outside of the Warriors. I mean, who wouldn't want to see Dame win a championship if the Warriors can't win one? Yeah. Giannis was up there too. Giannis was one of those guys. But now, to be honest, Joel Embiid has turned into one of those guys for me because of how he's handled everything and what he's had to go through with Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I would like to see Doc win another championship, but not this season. Not this season. And speaking of which, let's get to the Warriors real quick. They win against OKC last night, but that's not the biggest thing to take away. The fact that Andre Iguodala came back for the first time in I don't know how many games, but he tweaked up his back again, and Steve Kerr after the game said he's very worried about it. Then we should all be worried about it. I'm not saying they need Andre Iguodala to win the championship, but it's nice to have his playoff experience. And if it means him resting all the way up until the playoffs, I'm cool with that. But it is a little alarming that Steve felt the need to say that he's not very comfortable with the situation going on with Andre's back.
You need the minutes from him in the playoffs.
You do.
As small as those minutes are, it's those points in the game where we're not really paying attention too much. Well, we are, but we're not really looking at what he does and thinking that has an impact on the game, but it does. Yeah. But it does. That's because basketball's a very intricate game, and you got to every play does matter. And those minutes that he's going to be getting, they're going to be specialty minutes along with him and guys like Gary Payton II, when you're going to need two-way players, especially guys who are good on defense and smart on defense. You're going to need his veteran presence later on. I'm with you, because how often do you hear Steve Kerr talk like that about an injury? How often do you hear him say, well, I'm very concerned? As soon as that question is, well, how concerned are you? Normally you dance around it. You don't say yes or no to the question. You say, well, and then they explain the injury, what happened, and then they say he's day to day right now. I don't think I'm too concerned, but we'll monitor it going forward. And that's normally the political answer that Steve Kerr would give, but this time he's just like, I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned that he left the game with back tightness.
And I respect Steve for, I love him so much in the fact that he is able to lie to the media, and then he does it for the benefit of the team, like he did with Tim Kawakami and not telling him that Andre Iguodala was going to start. And then he's brutally honest sometimes where he says, yeah, I'm fucking worried that Andre Iguodala's back hurts. So we'll see what happens. Again, I don't think in order for the Warriors to win a championship, I think that they could do it without Andre. The 5-year run kind of gets blurry to me sometimes. Did Andre ever come back when his knee hurt during the finals? I forget what season that was. I think maybe it was 2017 where they swept the Cavs. Oh, no, sorry. They swept the Cavs in 2018. There was one playoff run where Andre's knee was banged up, and I can't remember if he came back or not.
Damn, we could really use Bonte Hill or Joe Shasky on this one because their memories are like their memories are so they'd have the answer
I'm
to
trying to
it
even
without
remember when that was. Was that the 2017 when they were up 3-1 on the Cavs?
good luck getting an actual answer from me because I have
Yeah.
no freaking idea without having to look that
Regardless,
one up.
well, yeah, I remember. I remember that was a big thing with Talking Point at some point where we were all like, "When's Andre coming back?" But it may have been the one where they swept the Cavs and they
Mm,
didn't need him to come back. But regardless, I think they'll be okay without him. But it'd be nice to have him.
for
It would be a
sure.
little, yeah, it'd be a little more reassuring. But um, some good news today. James Wiseman is doing 3-on-3 for the first time in quite some time. Don't give me that face, Steven. It's good progress, no?
It is good progress. It is, but
I'm not
it
relying on him to do anything significant for the Warriors this season, but it'd be nice to have another big body in there.
it would be great because I mean that was the issue last night against the Thunder was the offensive rebounding, just not having a body there. But I'm not gonna I'm not gonna jump to any conclusions about Wiseman until I really see him like on the court. Essentially, I'm really not holding my hopes up until then because, like we talked about last week, this meniscal tear
Mhm.
it's so unpredictable. Like he could be doing 3-on-3 drills, then he could hurt it again. Like this thing, I don't know. I mean, I trust the Warriors training staff. I trust Rich Celebrini and all of them, but I really won't buy into anything until I see it with Wiseman. Now I did see the 3-on-3, which is great, but I'm talking about till I see that report that officially says James Wiseman is coming back. That's what I'm talking about. Now Monty Poole said it could happen by the end of the month, which would be great. Little later than scheduled, but
Mhm.
again, we'll wait and see until then. I think the thing that's as far as just getting guys back and being back to who they are, Clay, man. Clay
Yeah,
is
dude.
Clay's I'm not gonna say he's back to being the Clay of Clay, but man, he looks like a very confident player right now.
Yeah.
He is looking good.
And that could make all the difference with how depth or their depth right now with, how they looked before Clay came back to now. I think this team, we'll see what happens here, but I have high expectations for, Western Conference Finals, maybe another NBA Finals run, and I think they could do it this season. I think Clay coming back makes all the difference.
You I think you can safely assume that with how everything is going within the NBA right now, that the Warriors should be a top contender. Like I'm at the point now where if they don't get to the Western Conference Championship, I'm not gonna say the season's a wash, the season's a failure, it's a disappointment of the season. But
Like you
personally,
always do.
that's where my expectations at right now.
No, I'm with you.
Just because of everyone within the Western Conference and how it's shaping out. Like every team is different each year. Every conference is different each year. And right now, it seems like we have pretty much figured out what the identity of the Western Conference is. Although I kind of I weirdly expect the Lakers to just make a push down the stretch because they always do. The Grizzlies I really like. I think the Grizzlies are going to be right up there within the Western Conference. But man, looks like this is prime for the Warriors taken right now. And the Suns are really the only team that's in their way. So if Clay continues, though, man, did you see those two shots at the end of the game? He's turned into an NBA street character, man. He has. He celebrates when you shouldn't be celebrating. It's like you got to get back on defense, but he doesn't care because he's Clay.
Exactly. And he's missed 2 seasons. Celebrate all you want, Clay. I actually didn't see most of the game last night. I was working late last night, but
Yeah.
yeah, Clay, solid stat line. Clay looked fantastic. Yeah, I fully expect them to be in the mix towards the end of the season, given everything in the past 5 seasons. When they were during that run, you expect them to be right there now, and hopefully they get there. But we'll see what happens. Real quick, yes or no? Do you expect them to make a move come NBA trade deadline?
Maybe a buyout, not the trade.
I
Maybe
agree with you.
getting someone on the buyout, but not in
Yeah.
the trade market.
I don't
It's
think they need to make a move right now.
very rare. The only reason they'd make a move is if someone doesn't fit with their team. And okay, then if they feel that they need to make that move, then I'm all for it. But they're not gonna. I don't think they're going to. It seems like everybody is a good fit for this team right now, unless you're like D'Angelo Russell, where you got a weird backcourt of just guys who want to be the ball handler and just want to
Yeah.
shoot the basketball, then I could see that move being made. But you don't have any guys like that right now. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the old cliche. That's the term that's always thrown around within the trade deadline. I don't think they're going to make any moves. There's no point. There's no point. But real quick, I want to ask you, is Blackout Clay a good enough nickname for you when he goes on a little tear like this?
Is this a nickname you came up with?
Because in the first, well, not a nickname I came up with, one that I'm kind of building off of from his presser at the end of the game. Because in the first half, he was 1 of 5. I think he had 4 points, didn't knock down a 3. And then in the second half, he had 17, 2 of which were essentially the daggers for the Thunder because they were going on a little bit of a run. It was kind of scary. I couldn't believe it. Josh Giddey, the Australian, by the way, for the Thunder. I don't know. I mean, if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is healthy, and Josh Giddey is on the up, like, I mean, they could keep those two on OKC and maybe try and build a roster around those two, but that's neither here nor there right now. But Clay, when he knocked down those final 2, he walked to the other side of the court when OKC called timeout. He said, "This is my house," as he yelled to the crowd at OKC. As we know,
great moments there.
Game 6 Clay from 2016. But he said after, when they asked him, like, "Did you say that this is my house?" to the crowd? He's like, "I don't know, man. I blacked out at that time. I normally blacked out at those times, so I don't know what I said." Like, I'm calling him Blackout Clay from now on when he just starts to go off in the fourth quarter and cheer and pump the crowd up. Blackout Clay.
I like that. I actually like that a lot. We've given Clay so many nicknames throughout the years, and it usually is just, saying something with Clay at the end of it. But I like that. Yeah. And it makes sense with what he said last night. And he has, I've always said in years past, Clay is either so-so or historic. But, that's not fair because he's been so consistently great throughout his career. There's just moments where I get too angry as a fan. Like, come on, Clay, do more. But, from the 37 points he scored in a quarter to his, great, game 6s between OKC and Houston, he has these amazing moments where he is just hot and he cannot miss. So yeah, I think Blackout Clay is a great nickname.
Blackout Clay, at least when he does that type, when he has that type of game in the fourth quarter where he's like cheering on the crowd, like Blackout Clay is back. Oh, here he is. I love that.
Nice. I like it. All right, let's move on to a little football. And we got the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, so we'll get to all of that in the next episode whenever we do it. But as far as off-season stuff, we have finished all of the head coaching hires. Every team has a head coach, and 3 were made since the last time we recorded a podcast, and we expected Mike McDaniels to get the Dolphins job. He has it, and there was a fun little social media video he did today where he was FaceTiming Tua, and it was nice, and Mike McDaniel, you like him. He's a goofy guy. But I wonder if he's put in a good situation given that he didn't get to choose his general manager or his quarterback. He is linked to Tua. He's going to have to make it work with Tua. Or it's just a one-year thing with Tua and they move on and he could do whatever he wants. But I think that Mike McDaniel will be a great coach. I think that he, learning from Kyle Shanahan and being around everybody that, Kyle has had in his tree since his days in Washington, he's a great coach. Anybody you talk to says that he has a fantastic mind, whether it's with receivers or running backs. He probably will make the Miami Dolphins offense better. But if it doesn't translate to a lot of wins, and you know how the Dolphins run things, they're a little impatient. So given that he has to make things work with already a general manager there and a quarterback that he didn't draft, do you think Mike McDaniels is set up for success in Miami?
See, that's what my biggest question when I'm watching that is, we know that Mike McDaniel was the run game coordinator for the Niners, and everyone just thought, all right, he's the offensive coordinator now. Oh, excuse me. He's the offensive coordinator now. He's just going to be, dictating the run game and what they do, drawing up the plays there. But I wonder how much he was involved in the passing game, because constantly I was always questioning throughout the season is, not only are these guys on the Niners open, these wide receivers open for Jimmy Garoppolo to get him the ball, because that's what Mike McDaniel's going to want to do with Tua. Boom, quick passes, because Tua's a very accurate quarterback. He can be a very accurate quarterback. Doesn't exactly have that huge arm strength that you want, but
is he an accurate quarterback?
He's pretty accurate. He was down the stretch there.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. When they were winning games, him and Jalen Waddle had a little connection there.
Well, that's
And
been established, but yes.
And I shut up. And I wonder, you jerk. So I wonder how much of these players on the 49ers getting open and just having the space on these crossing patterns over the middle of the field, because it felt so predictable for the Niners. It's just, hey, yeah, someone's going to be over the middle of the field. Jimmy's probably going to throw it there, like every single game. And it didn't change, yet defenses were stifled and they left guys wide open down the middle of the field. So I wonder how much of that was Mike McDaniel. And if it was, then I do think that can translate to Miami, but he's just not in a good situation in general over there. Like he's not set up for success. He really isn't. And I'm not gonna act like I've watched so much Dolphins football that I can properly assess Tua as a
Where's Tommy
quarterback.
Call?
I know, right? We need Tommy Call. Actually, we should have got him. We should have got him on this one. Maybe we get him on the next pod. But
It's Super Bowl show. It's a little too big for Tommy.
You sure?
I'm joking. No, we'll get Tommy on eventually.
this show that has 0 live viewers according to our our app right now, and I think maybe like 2 live viewers on our regular one. One of which
you don't need to read
Jesse.
the stats off to everybody while the show's going on.
I'm just saying, but that's my biggest question, though. Those video, I can't help but laugh at everything Mike McDaniel says, though, because I think I could get a good read on the type of person that he is, which is sarcastic, smart.
He's like you. He's like you if you were a head coach, just a little dick baggish.
Yeah, a little bit. He does got a little dick bag.
No, but I think he's going to be good. That's Steven's also nickname. Sometimes he's nice guy Steven, and sometimes he's dick bag Steven.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's got a little dick bag in him, but that's just not the right word, the right wording to say there. That's bad. That's not good. Didn't mean that.
No,
Mike.
I think that he'll be fun in Miami. He'll be goofy with the media, but he'll also wow people with his expertise in offensive football. I'd be interested to see who he gets to be his defensive coordinator. It sounds like he's going to keep a lot of the defensive staff intact there. So I hope he has success, and I hope that, when he was conducting his 10-hour interview with the brass in Miami over the weekend, 10 hours, I hope some of those hours were discussing what happens if Stephen Ross sells the team. Am I going to still have my job here? Is it in writing where if you lose ownership because of all the shit that's going on with Brian Flores, do I still have a job? I hope that's the situation. But, with new ownership comes, new head coaches most of the time. So I hope everything is set up for success for Mike McDaniel in Miami.
Do they eat in those 10-hour interviews?
I would hope so.
I wonder if that has
a little bathroom break and food. Yeah.
I wonder if that has anything to do with the hiring process. Like,
what do you mean? If you can sustain a 10-hour interview?
If you just depending on, I don't know how it works. Like, what if they order food and it's like, well, what do you want? And you're like, oh, I'll have what everybody else is having. Or are you strong in what you want?
If you're one of us, you'll eat the soup.
Well, it's just like you don't want to be that guy who says, no, I'll just have what everyone else is having. That's fine. And just going along for the ride. You want a leader. You want somebody who's going to make that decision right away.
Is that what you do in a meeting?
I mean, I think it's something that companies do in order to get a read on somebody.
It's like a psychological thing where it's just like, everybody else is getting pizza. What are you going to get? Salad? You're not one of us. You're not a team player. Get out.
Well, it's just you got to make a decision quick. Boom, boom, boom. As a head coach, you're going to have to make quick decisions. What are you going to do with the food? I'll just have what everyone else is having. So what? As when you're calling a play on the field, you're just going to call what everyone else would call, or are you going to make your own call? What do you
mean, like John Harbaugh when all his players want to go for it?
Boom. Exactly.
There you go.
So I think there's something there to them keeping them there for 10 hours. You judge everything that they do.
Probably. Most likely. God, can you imagine being an interview for 10 hours? At some point, I would just lose it and think in my head, more like, God, do I deserve this job? God, how long have we been interviewing for? 10 hours? I don't deserve this job. I'm not good enough. God, you don't want me.
We need details. We need details on what the hell you do for 10 hours. Because it's not just 10 hours of Q&A. I'm sure there's like play calling involved, and maybe he has like a folder full of ideas, and I'm sure there's a lot that happens there, but 10 hours, man, I don't know how the hell you'd survive with 10 hours.
And the next day they interviewed Kellen Moore from the Cowboys. So you think at that point they were like, God, we interviewed Mike McDaniels for 10 fucking hours yesterday. Let's just bring Kellen in and just ask him a few questions and then be done with it. It was a 30-minute interview for Kellen Moore. We were pooped. We were pooped from our interview with Mike McDaniel.
Bye-bye.
And then on Monday, yesterday, the Texans hire Lovie Smith. And you may remember Lovie from this past season. He was the defensive coordinator for the Texans. But you may remember him from his days with the Chicago Bears and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I always thought of him like, Lovie Smith's still on the team. How come he's not getting an interview? And his name was never brought up. They interviewed Jonathan Gannon, they interviewed Brian Flores, and they interviewed Josh McCown. And then out of the blue, Lovie Smith is named head coach. And I think he's well deserving of it, obviously. He's rocking a nice, great big bushy beard. And I think that the Texans defense wasn't great last season, but at times it played very well. So, and he's established head coach. He brought a team to the Super Bowl, lost to the Colts, but still a good head coach. Hasn't done it in quite some time, but I think he still could get it done. But you have to wonder, when Lovie's name is brought up out of the blue like that, were they going to hire Josh McCown? And all indications that I've seen was, yes, they were going to. But everything going on with the Brian Flores situation, it would have been a PR nightmare to hire Josh McCown like that. So at the end of the day, they probably were like, we would love to hire Josh McCown. Hell, we would love to hire Brian Flores. But both of these guys would make us look really bad right now. More so Josh McCown because he has no coaching experience. So I think the plan was to hire Josh McCown as the head coach. Lovie Smith knows Josh McCown from his days with the Chicago Bears and Buccaneers, and he would have been retained as defensive coordinator. But then the last second, given all of the bullshit that would have happened, they were just like, let's just make Lovie the head coach, and Josh McCown will be our quarterback coach, which I fully expect.
Do you is it okay to just like not have an opinion on anything going on with the Texans at all?
Sure,
Like,
that's fine. I would love it if people don't have opinions on certain things these days.
I'm just like reading everything that's going on there, you know,
Yeah.
and as everything, I've kept up with it, obviously. And as you've read, I mean, I saw the thing where they say that he has all of the qualifications and they fully expected he could be a head coach at some point in the NFL, talking about Josh McCown.
Yeah.
But when they hired Lovie Smith, of course, you're right. It was just all with PR. But either way, it's like, if you're the head coach of that team, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen with your quarterback. The ownership has just been under fire. Yeah, your ownership has just been under fire, man. Going back all the way to the time where Draymond called out the owner there and said that they should just stop calling them owners within the NFL.
Yeah.
It just feels like a bad situation to go in if you're a head coach. Like not a fluid one. There's just nothing there. No matter who they hire, it's going to be bad for them anyway. They start losing. Well, you should have hired this guy, maybe, or it's just there's nothing that can go right over there at Houston. I understand why Lovie Smith took the job, because you want a head coaching job if you have the opportunity. But man, there's nothing good can happen from Texas. Nothing.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm at with
the
Houston.
state in general, the whole freaking state.
Yeah, the whole state.
Yes. Yes. At the end of the day, Lovie Smith deserves a job, and he should take one. But also, I would not be the least bit surprised. Unfortunately, I hate that I think this way, if Lovie is not given more than one season as head coach. And they just did this because, well, let's just give Josh McCown some coaching experience. And again, it hasn't been made official, but given Lovie Smith's connection to Josh McCown, I would fully expect him to be a part of the coaching staff. I just don't want it to be where they hired Lovie Smith and then say, all right, cool, see ya, Josh is the guy now. That would
probably
be
going to
fucked
happen.
up, and the same thing that they did to David Culley.
Probably going to happen. Probably going to
maybe.
happen. I don't think it would shock anybody at this point for the Texans. Like, good for Lovie. Good for Lovie for getting back to a head coaching job in the NFL. talking to Lo Neal during the week when we were going over these past head coaches. He brought up Lovie Smith, and he was a big fan of Lovie Smith, and talked about the type of person that he was. He's a good dude. That's almost why I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Because he's a good guy in the
Yeah.
NFL, which is very, very hard to come by sometimes with these guys. So, like, I feel bad for him, man. I know he's got the head coaching gig, but you're doing it with the Texans.
Yeah, but
Texans.
I know, but I expect that defense to play well with him as head coach. And they actually played all right last season. They weren't a great team, but I think with him making the moves and, hopefully Caserio has more respect for him than he did with David Culley and doesn't get into his headset while games are going on. Like Lovie Smith's been coaching in this league for years. You don't need to interfere like that. I saw an interesting quote, though, from Steve Smith. They asked Steve Smith, what would you think if Josh McCown was named head coach of the Texans? And he honestly said, I think it would be a great move, because you have to think of it in these terms. Josh McCown, as a backup quarterback, he never was a full-time starter for any team, with maybe the exception of the Arizona Cardinals in his first season, and then filling in for, Jay Cutler with the Bears, and he played for the Buccaneers for one season. So he actually started a few seasons, but for the most part, for 17 seasons, he was a backup quarterback. And essentially, when you're a backup quarterback, you are an extra part of the coaching staff. Basically, you're just part of the coach. You're calling plays if you're given an opportunity, communicating with the quarterback sometimes. You are an offensive assistant for 17 seasons. So in his mind, there are a lot of guys, Kellen Moore, Jason Garrett, a lot of well-known backup quarterbacks that did take the route of starting low level as far as coaching, and now have been put in positions to be head coaches. But he didn't think that it was a bad idea at all that the Texans just skip that process, because essentially Josh McCown has been an offensive assistant for 17 seasons. I understand that. I think it's an interesting point. I don't disagree with Steve Smith. But what I will say is that there's a way to do things. And with what's going on with Brian Flores and the lack of minority head coaches in football, you don't want to just make a guy a head coach when he hasn't taken the other steps that other people have. So you can bring up Jason Garrett, you could bring up Kellen Moore, but those guys have done it the right way by starting low, being quarterback coaches, and then going to offensive coordinators, and then getting head coaching positions.
I'm not disagreeing with anything Steve Smith ever says.
Because he'll come and beat your ass down.
Never. Just in case. Never. And I agree with him, though. I've always thought that. We always talk about like Chase Daniel as the guy who's making like $10 million a year being a backup. Matt Flitt is the other guy we always talk about. Brian Hoyer is another one of those guys who's managed to stick around in the NFL. I mean, it's hard to dispute what Steve Smith is saying, but it also depends on how much of a leader of men that they are, because there's more to just understanding the X's and O's, what defenses are doing, but it's understanding how to lead these guys. Can the players buy into what you're selling? And who knows with Josh McCown? Who knows? But we're not going to see it. We're not going to see it for a little bit. And you know what? Maybe get him some experience in Houston. Get him some experience. Maybe work his way up as a coach and then see what he could do instead of just throwing him right into the head coaching job. Because some people, man, they just aim too high and they fall. When you go that high, sometimes you could fall really far.
You can. You got to crawl before you run a marathon in this situation with being a head coach.
Nice.
Yeah, you like that? And I thought it was surprising last season when they interviewed Josh McCown and didn't even put him on the coaching staff afterwards. He just went into retirement and just chilled. If you're Josh McCown and you have not been given the head coaching job for the last 2 seasons by the Texans, wouldn't that make you want to be a coach in some capacity so you can, put something on your resume? It's interesting that Nick Caserio at the press conference today introducing Lovie Smith said that Josh McCown was never in consideration for head coach. Really? You interviewed him twice, back-to-back seasons. I'm not buying that for a second.
That's a lie.
They were going to make him head coach, and just they didn't want to do it because the reaction would have been so bad. It would have been completely negative.
Total lie.
Yeah, complete lie. And then finally, to end all of the head coaching vacancies, there were 9 of them this offseason, and the final one is our old buddy, Dennis Allen. This is not surprising whatsoever. As soon as Sean Payton announced that he was retiring, I think all of us assumed that Dennis Allen was getting that job. There were some qualified people that were interviewed: Byron Leftwich, Eric Bieniemy. At the end of the day, they went with the guy that's been there for quite some time under Sean Payton. I have no problem with this hire, but I'd also say this, Stephen, and I saw you tweet out yesterday, the Morgan Freeman, good luck to Dennis Allen.
What do you just see my tweets and you don't react to them? You don't give me a like? You don't give.
You do the same shit to me. Oh, look at you! I send pictures to Bill Murray to everybody except for the guy that I co-host the show with. I love Bill Murray. Would have loved to see that picture. Anyway, Dennis Allen. We can't judge Dennis Allen on what he did 10 years ago with the Raiders. And I think the best word to describe Dennis Allen is he was a tight ass. 100%. He was no nonsense, was not fun. I remember going to training camp in 2012 and him looking like Sean Payton with the visor on, sounding like Sean Payton, but not being the fun Sean Payton, because Sean Payton can't be fun. Speaking of which, I watched the first 5 minutes of that movie, the Kevin James movie. Oh boy, that is terrible. They just gloss over the fact that he was suspended for Bountygate. Like it's like it was just like him in his office being like, "What am I suspended for? You can't do this to me." And then they show like archive footage of like ESPN and all of them talking about what he did, but it's never brought up in the actual movie.
Terrible. Was Dan Patrick a part of that?
You know what? Surprisingly not, because he usually is in all the Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah, I was thinking of normally they get those ESPN guys on there. Dan Patrick was playing like the cop that pulled over Paul Crewe in The New Longest Yard, and he's been in a couple other ones.
I remember that.
Dan Patrick was the first that came to mind. I'm not even going to try going to that movies, but continue on Dennis Allen, though.
No, I'm just saying that I think Dennis Allen learned from his first time around, and he was a guy that was put in a bad position. Like, he was a guy that didn't get to choose anything. He was the first head coach appointed by Mark Davis and Reggie McKenzie. And he had to make it work with Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer was pissed that they fired Hugh Jackson, and it didn't work. It just didn't work. There was nothing appealing about the Raiders back then.
Terrell Pryor.
Terrell Pryor. Yep, that was some interesting time. Their free agency stuff was getting a bunch of old, washed-up guys like Justin Tuck or Maurice Jones-Drew.
Was Nick Roach a part of that? Was he
Nick
there?
Roach?
Dennis Allen?
I don't remember if Nick Roach was a part of that time.
Gosh, terrible.
It was a bad time. But I don't think we should judge. I mean, like, Norv Turner sucked in his 2 seasons of Raiders head coach, and he turned things around with the Chargers. I think it's just a different situation. I think that for the longest time, any head coach, you could have gotten Vince Lombardi from the grave to coach the Raiders, and it would have been an utter failure because that's just the way the franchise was running things. So I don't think we should judge too much with Dennis Allen 10 years ago. I think that he's been put in a better position with the Saints. Their cap situation sucks, so we'll see what happens there. Plus, they got to deal with what's going on with Alvin Kamara right now. But I don't think we should judge Dennis Allen just as much as we shouldn't judge Josh McDaniels 10 years ago. I think it's different situations.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But how? I mean, man, I wonder what's going to happen with Kamara. By the way, but
we can talk about that too.
I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think of Dennis Allen. You can't judge him from his time with the Raiders. Not at all. But I don't know, man. Is New Orleans really your team on your radar as like one of the up and coming teams, the ones that are going to make a stamp within the NFC? I guess the NFC is kind of weak this year, so maybe the Saints can make a run. But I don't know, man. It's just Dennis Allen, head coach of the Saints. Okay, is that going to put him over the top? I don't know. Maybe.
I don't think it puts him over the top, but like I was very impressed with what he did this season when Sean Payton was out when he was out with COVID. He held the Buccaneers to a shutout. They won that game 9-0. I think that he is a great defensive mind. It'd be interesting to see, I don't expect them to be a contender this season. Their cap situation is incredibly bad. I don't know how it's still like that with Drew Brees off the roster, but given they gave big contracts to Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas, they're probably going to have to get rid of some, long tenured Saints there, like Cam Jordan or other guys. So I don't think they're going to be, that great of a team this upcoming season. But if they get the right quarterback in there, I do think that the Saints have changed their culture from, where they were before Sean Payton. It's just, you don't have Sean Payton or Drew Brees there anymore. So I do think that Sean Payton can make this team better in the future.
Yeah, you're talking about Dennis Allen. You said Sean
Sorry,
Payton
yes, Dennis Allen.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and it's probably not going to be this year. It didn't, it all depends. You need everything to go right. you need everything to go right for a team to be successful. For you to be successful as a coach, you need the right players. It's not like you're, Bill Belichick, where you're a genius and can work with any possible team. Like, I don't know, man. There's so many other things that have to build around it. And you're right. I don't know what that's going to entail. I don't know what's going to happen with Michael Thomas. God, if they got to get rid of Cam Jordan, that dude's beloved over there in New Orleans.
I know, but his cap hit is huge this year.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know with New Orleans, but good for Dennis Allen. I actually did like him. There was a mic'd up segment once. It was them against the Chargers. I think it was when DJ Hayden had a game-winning interception. But there was one, not game-winning, but game-sealing interception. It was like a dagger. And
when did DJ Hayden ever have an interception?
He had this one against San Diego. It was a big one. And Dennis Allen.
Was it the game they had to move to late Sunday night because
yes.
That's again the Charles. I remember that as Charles Woodson returned the fumble back for the touchdown.
Yes, but it happened, and Dennis Allen was going crazy. And I remember thinking at that time, like, damn, I feel so bad for him, and just like how this team that's been given to him, he's like, I finally got to win.
Yeah, you know what? I could say this now. I felt bad for Dennis Allen. I know exactly where. 2012 in Charlotte. Carson Palmer was hurt. It was a game in Carolina. The Raiders got their ass kicked, and Carson Palmer got hurt. He got his ribs crunched. And I was traveling with my dad back from Charlotte to the Bay Area, and I was on the Raiders charter. May get in trouble for this one, but let's just say it.
Wow.
So we were on the tarmac for quite some time because we were waiting for Carson Palmer to get on the plane because he broke his ribs. And Matt Leinart played in that game. And I remember hearing Mark Davis yelling to Dennis Allen on the plane, why aren't you playing Terrell Pryor? Why aren't you putting me in the game? 49ers are playing Colin Kaepernick. Why can't we do that with Terrell Pryor? And I was like, oh, my God.
Wow.
Yep.
Were you sitting on your own? What were you doing?
I was sandwiched, I think, between my pops and Jim Plunkett.
Nice.
You didn't hear anything, Derek, and here I am divulging 10 years later.
Yeah, there we go. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, what a team to work with. Yikes.
Yeah. It was bad. But things are better, I think, nowadays for the Raiders. And, I expect good things from Josh McDaniels. I'm comfortable saying this. I think other people may disagree, but I think the Raiders, surprisingly, made the best hire of any coach in this offseason. Would you agree, Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, thinking on it, it's not like anyone made that splashy, young offensive genius hire.
Well,
but I mean,
Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings. But what I'm saying is,
I'd say overall that, like, as a coaching staff, along with their GM hiring Patrick Graham as the defensive coordinator from the Giants. Shout out to Rich Bisaccia, by the way, who went to the Packers. The Packers need somebody to coordinate that special teams over there.
If anybody needed, if the Packers, obviously we saw it in that divisional playoff game. Their special teams has been horrendous this whole season, and Rich Bisaccia is beloved, so good for him going to Green Bay. But sorry to finish your point, Stephen.
I would say there's less drama surrounding the Raiders hire more than a lot of these other ones. A lot of these other ones, it feels fishy, but for some reason, the one with Josh McDaniels, it's like nobody complained about that. Nobody said he wasn't deserving of the job. So he was their guy. I mean, you had a couple of others I'm already forgetting about who the other guy was that they were going to try and hire.
Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh, Jesus. So, I mean,
the guy in the khakis that screams a lot. What's his name again?
It feels like it's going to work out pretty well. I'm feeling good about it compared to a lot of these other ones. Okay. I am. So I guess I'd say I would
say just based on what everyone feels about Josh McDaniels and that he's been, ever sought after for so long. And now he's actually chosen a team and is going to coach on his own for the first time in 10 years. I think it's a slam dunk move. I didn't expect it to happen. It's been well documented, but I think it's a good move. And I think it's a great move. And I think you're going to agree with me, Stephen, of getting Patrick Graham as defensive coordinator. He was expected to return to the Giants. You getting some news here? Or?
No, I guess Brian Daboll going to the Giants is a pretty good one.
Yeah,
I guess that's a good one. Except,
but I'm saying as far as guys we don't really know about on their own. Like Mike McDaniel could be a great head coach, but we don't know how he's going to do it on his own, especially with the Dolphins. Brian Daboll's got to make it work with Daniel Jones, who hasn't really done much so far.
A lot of pressure on Daboll to do that, by the way.
Exactly.
A lot of pressure on him.
Yeah. I think that everyone has thought of Josh McDaniels so highly for years, and just no one expected him to take a job after he scorned the Colts, and he does it. And people could say what they say about Derek Carr, but amongst the teams that have a quarterback, I think that's the best situation, probably next to Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. But I think it's a good situation. And I think it's, really good that they got Patrick Graham from the Giants. He was expected to go back and be their defensive coordinator, but he has a established relationship with Josh McDaniels. So I think that's a great move. The only thing I'd say now is that you're probably going to run a 3-4 defense because that's what Patrick Graham ran with the Giants. And that's what he's used to with he was an assistant coach with the Patriots. So they ran a lot of 3-4 defense, which makes me believe, what's the future of Yannick Ngakoue? They're not going to give up Max Crosby, but he's probably going to play 3-4 defensive end, which won't change much for him. I don't know if you want to put him an outside linebacker, but that changes a lot of things for your defense going forward.
Aren't we? I mean, haven't you heard all the people though? 3-4-4-3 doesn't matter, Derek.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't matter.
Usually you're playing nickel most of the time, but I do think that that's how that team is. That's what Josh McDaniels is used to. That's what Patrick Graham is used to. I'll throw a name out there, a guy that Patrick Graham knows very well, and a guy that Josh McDaniels knows very well. That is a free agent this upcoming offseason is Chandler Jones, and I think that'd be very interesting to see if he becomes a Raider. Also could see, a lot of guys will be cut. There's going to be more names added to the free agency list. A guy that's from Nevada that knows Josh McDaniels and knows Patrick Graham, Kyle Van Noy, who is defensive end for the New England Patriots. So I would expect the Raiders defense to look a lot different next season.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Any changes that they can make, I'm in for it. But one thing they're going to have to do, though, is figure out what they're going to do at corner, because Casey Hayward probably not going to be with that team. Going to sign with the Colts maybe, and with Gus Bradley. So I think that's my number one. I'm not really. Ngakoue was good. I really liked Ngakoue this season. Anytime someone would text me about I'm watching the Raider game right now, I'm like, well, watch Yannick Ngakoue on the defense, because everyone knows who Max Crosby is. But I'm like, Ngakoue's been pretty good, but against the run, he hasn't been that good. So I want to see how Patrick Graham changes it there. The linebacker play. Corey Littleton just played himself out of a job, really, and he just wasn't good for the deal that they got him for. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Patrick Graham, I like the hire. 3-4-4-3, whatever it's going to be. Probably going to be a 3-4, but as long as you win games, man, I don't care.
Just win, baby.
Just please win and make a normal draft pick for once.
And then the Niners hire, we got this breaking news last episode, Anthony Lynn as assistant head coach, and that makes a lot of sense with Mike McDaniel leaving for Miami. It also makes a lot of sense considering that with Trey Lance going to be your quarterback probably next season, they're going to run a lot of read option. And that's what Anthony Lynn knows from his days in Buffalo and with the Chargers. And a guy that I could throw out there as probably being a backup quarterback for Trey Lance, maybe Tyrod Taylor, who has worked with Anthony Lynn in the past. Very similar skill set to Trey Lance. So I would expect that to happen. I think it's a good move because, Kyle did run a lot of read option with RG3 in Washington, but he hasn't done it quite some time. So it's good to have a guy he knows. His dad knows him. He coached him with the Denver Broncos when Anthony Lynn was a player. So I think that's a good move too.
I'd say that's the number one backup that everyone's wanted for
Tyrod
the
Taylor?
Niners. Yeah, even going back to last season, like when they were saying get rid of Jimmy G, put Trey Lance as a starter and bring Tyrod Taylor in as a backup. Like, so that's the number one guy. And I think Tyrod Taylor's a good player, actually. I
And
think he'd be
hopefully we get to
perfect.
the bottom of actually how you pronounce his first name.
Tyrod.
Okay.
It's Tyrod.
All right.
Is that it? Are we gonna get to the bottom?
Have we heard it? Did he actually say that in Hard Knocks?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, he confirmed it. Never mind.
I
That's
haven't
okay.
forgotten Tyrod.
All
Everyone
right.
else has. I haven't.
Tyrod.
I think he'd be a
Tyrod
really,
away.
I think he'd be a good signing though, as a
Yeah, I
backup
think so, too.
quarterback. Yeah.
And real quick, we touched on it briefly. Alvin Kamara after the Pro Bowl, I guess with an incident on Saturday night, battery charges against him, and sounds like it's serious and could be maybe getting some jail time, probably suspension going forward. What I want to know is, not to make light of the situation, but he played in the Pro Bowl on Sunday and this incident happened Saturday night. Did he get arrested in the locker room? Like, did he start to board the bus and they were like, "Hey, Mr. Kamara, can we talk to you for a second?"
No clue.
Yeah, that's
no clue.
an interesting situation.
Yeah. It does not make Vegas look good.
Yeah.
At least for the NFL. I know we're always, and I kind of use this excuse whenever Josh Jacobs and obviously Henry Ruggs, Nate Hobbs, all those guys got in trouble with DUIs. And I try to say this could happen in any place. Like, these guys are millionaires. They're able to, they're able to get after it whenever they want. But man, when this happens in Vegas for the Pro Bowl, like the temptation is there. And it's not to say, oh yeah, you need to take that team out of Vegas, which I wouldn't mind them doing, and just coming back to the Bay Area and coming back to Oakland and maybe
say it louder.
Trying to get to a stadium over here, but like Vegas, not a good start so far. These young guys, it's tough to control yourself when you're in a place like that. Vegas is just different, and I really think back to just my own trips to Vegas, and I've only taken 2, but you turn into a different person when you go there, man. Like when you go there, you're ready. Like, sometimes when I'm here, when I'm back home and, it's a weekend, it's a Friday. Yeah. Just stick around and watch a movie. But when you're in Vegas, man, you're like, all right, I got to get out. I got to get after it. I don't know what to
Sometimes
expect.
you're not even ready. It just happens.
And sometimes you get into a wrestling match where you end up assaulting somebody in a club. Like that's.
You talk about yourself or?
No, I'm talking about Kamara. About Kamara there. I never went to the clubs in Vegas.
Yeah, neither did I. Just usually casinos and the strip.
I remember thinking, why would anybody want to wait in a line for that long so you could just pay to get into the club where you're going to when you're going to have to pay even more? And I get why, because of the camaraderie and the nightlife that you're getting in those clubs, but just waiting outside for an hour, just no.
Yeah.
It wasn't me. I don't have patience for that anymore.
I remember going to Vegas with the morning show because Don Collins needed me to go with them when he was program director for whatever reason. He wanted me to help out because it was for the first what fight was it? I'm terrible at remembering fights, but it was wasn't
it Triple G versus Canelo?
Yes. Was that during the 2016 season?
I'm trying to remember. Hang on.
I remember it was the weekend before the Raiders were going to play the Texans in Mexico City. And I remember I was getting that show ready for the pregame show and everything. But I went to Vegas to help out because 95.7 The Game and our sister stations were doing a lot of promotion for that fight. So I was going to help out with Billy Vidal and JT the Brick and all these other guys that were doing their shows from there. And I remember
September 2017 at T-Mobile Arena, GGG versus Canelo. Was that the one?
That was it. I believe so.
Gotcha.
And I remember not having a hotel room the first night, so I had to stay with Cody. And I remember Lo Neal telling us to come out one night, and we went to a few clubs, and that just being not great. So the club stuff I'm not a big fan of in Vegas. But I'll tell more stories about Lo next podcast about his Super Bowl party.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Real quick, let's just touch on these rumors. I know we're gonna have this show in the off season, so we will, against my better judgment, because I hate this stuff, but we will acknowledge speculation at times. And so, real quick, I want to spend too much time on this, but two NFL stories that have popped up. I wouldn't say they're even NFL stories; they're just, social media stuff. Kyler Murray deletes all of his social media stuff off Instagram. He's unfollowed the Cardinals. Oh my God, he wants to get traded. We're gonna say he's gonna leave the Cardinals and finally go play baseball for the Oakland A's. That'd be sweet, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think it's just him wanting to get away from social media for a while.
Well, okay, but why would you want to? If you're going to get away from social media, then just get away from social media.
But he deleted everything, including, and not, I mean, he left some pictures on there, but he deleted like some family members and a lot of teammates too. So I'm not reading a lot of into this.
It's weird, isn't it?
It is weird, but we hear it all the time in the offseason. Some guys just delete shit because
It's
social
true.
media, as Joe Burrow said at opening night, could be toxic, and it's good to get away from it sometimes.
No, I agree. But it is, you can understand why it'd be a little bit fishy, though, to somebody who's in the job and has to look for this sort of stuff. And it's like if Kyler Murray deleted all the Instagram posts and you notice that, I mean, you got to think there's something going on. Now, you can't jump to the conclusion, oh, yeah, he wants to be traded, but it feels odd. And we've seen it before where guys delete stuff from social media and then they're gone.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I don't know, like, do you think deep down Kyler Murray's like wondering, should I just go play baseball at this point? Because he's playing well. It's just that, towards the latter half of both seasons, the last two, he doesn't look good. And it may be because he is too small at times.
Or it's maybe because baseball isn't drug testing anybody right now, and he has all the time in the world to go to baseball. He's just like,
we'll get to that because I know you want to talk about that.
I needed.
Yeah. So I'm not putting a lot of stock into that, but we could. I mean, I would hate for Kyler Murray to do that right now after they traded away Josh Rosen and he starts banging on the table to get me out of here. But we'll see if that happens. It's not happening yet. It's just a weird speculatory thing that he deleted everything from his Instagram. And then Tom Brady goes on his podcast he does every week with Jim Gray, and he says, let me get the exact quote, "I'm not looking to come out of retirement, but never say never." And I think this one's a little more legitimate because Tom Brady retired out of nowhere. And it may be nowhere to us, but to, his family, he's been thinking about it for quite some time. It may be that like we saw him this season, he looks good. He led the league in passing yardage and touchdown passes. He could still play. I think it eats an athlete when they know, like, damn, I could still keep going. If only I just kept going. Like, what's stopping me? My family? Big deal. But to him, it is a big deal. But I can see, I would not be the least bit surprised come July, August, where we start hearing again, it's Favre watch all over again, where somebody's on Tom Brady's front lawn going, "It's day 3 of Brady watch. Gisele's out here throwing trash at us, but the rumors are that he's coming back out of retirement. According to my sources, this is Adam Schefter. I have nothing to go off of, but I'm hearing that Tom Brady's coming out of retirement." I would not be the least bit surprised.
You know what? I wouldn't either. If you're putting it that way. I mean, this dude can do whatever he wants because he's the greatest of all time, and he can do whatever he can do whatever he wants
this window
in his retirement. And if he wants to come back, I wouldn't be surprised if he does either. Like I'm with you on that. It would be shocking, but at the same time, I just think, all right, well, if he's coming back, then here we go again. Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Again. Great.
And yeah, Favre watch was in a different time before social media became like a really big thing. I found that annoying. I couldn't imagine Brady watch. Oh God, that'd be so nauseating. Good Lord.
I can't wait.
Speaking of Brady, I know you didn't watch Tuck Rule documentary 30 for 30. Real quick, I'll give my thoughts. We know the story at this point. It's been done in other documentaries. It was nice. The most interesting stuff was between Brady and Woodson. It was nice for them to go back and forth. Brady, trying to come up with all the excuses in the world that it wasn't a fumble. Walt Coleman sticking to his old man guns, saying that it was a fumble and he called it right. You could keep living in denial, Coleman. The part that I hated was them changing the course of history with them manipulating audio to make it sound like my dad was calling the fumble stands. The Raiders go on to beat Pittsburgh. They go on to win the Super Bowl. I did not like that whatsoever. I hated when they did that with the Four Falls of Buffalo, where they made it seem like Scott Norwood's field goal was good. I thought it was bullshit and cruel.
Why?
Because it's cruel. Don't give us hope like that. It didn't happen. Move on. It was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I'm not interested in watching that, especially when it's made by Tom. Especially since it's made by Tom Brady. Like,
no, this one wasn't. This was not.
Wasn't it by his company?
That's strictly Man in the Arena. This was an NFL Films production.
Oh, damn. All right. Well, I don't know.
If Tom Brady was producing the Tuck Rule, I'd be like, fuck no, I'm not watching that.
Yeah, like, I'm not gonna watch that. But oh God, I don't want to look back at that. I don't want to read. I'm not even gonna act like I remember watching that live when I was 8 years old. I'm not gonna act like I remember that. Like I got to be honest. I knew about it, but I didn't really know the significance of it. And
no, same here.
As Tom Brady was, continuing his career and becoming this Super Bowl champion quarterback, that's when you're looking back and thinking, oh shit, that was a big deal. But at the time, I didn't think anything of it because I was 8 years old and I was too worried about possibly peeing my pants or something at a Super Bowl party. Like that. I don't even know why I said Super Bowl party. But
8 years old, huh?
I was 8.
Were you peeing your pants a lot back then?
Once. In Vegas.
Oh, of all places. Just you, a mean 8-year-old, just running down the strip of Vegas, pooping your pants, peeing your pants.
Me and my brother were on the line for the Manhattan Express, the roller coaster in New York. And he's standing next to me and telling me about all these fake stories about people dying on the roller coaster. So he had me really scared. And then I peed my pants as we were on the roller coaster. I peed my pants as we were on the roller coaster. And we get off the coaster, and no joke, there's like a puddle of piss that's just in the seat as the next person has to come along.
And did you say anything, or did you just get up and leave the puddle behind?
Got up, left the puddle behind, and my brother was just laughing at me the entire time. I don't remember what we did after that. I don't know if we left. I think that was the last... because it was around New Year's, and so I think it was the last, it was the last bit of fun we were gonna have. All right, you could ride the roller coaster, and we're gonna go back home. So I don't think I traveled around Vegas just with pee pants on, but yeah,
pee pants. Speaking of peeing in your pants, we'll talk about grown men doing that a little later. But Steven, you brought it up. Baseball is not testing players for steroids anymore, and I'm sure they would have, love to have that rule when Barry Bonds and all these other guys were playing, and they can get in the Hall of Fame right now. So is this part of a negotiation ship with the lockout?
No. So this is just... It was this agreement that expired, and the baseball didn't even pay attention to it. It's like, hey, by the way, the lockout, it's on December 2nd. That's when the lockout started. This thing expires on December 1st. You might want to check up on that before the new CBA. So even now, since the lockout is happening, they're having to withhold drug testing because of this lockout. So, because they can't come to any new agreement, and they didn't come to any other agreement before that because they couldn't. So now players have time just to do whatever they want, get it out of their system by the time the season rolls around.
Inject it while you got it, boys.
You're going to be seeing Mike Trout as...
Oh, God, he's going to be huge.
He's going to be Jack Trout going into this season. He's like, I'm winning a World Series. It's like, dude.
He's got 2 heads.
It's such a joke. The entire thing with the Hall of Fame is trying to, not taint the record books and the history of Cooperstown by putting guys in the steroid era in it. And now all of a sudden a bunch of your players now are going to be drugged up by the time the season rolls around because you
That is interesting.
It's like,
so has your boy Rob Manfred said anything about this?
I don't think so. I haven't seen anything yet.
Well, that's a glaring thing. You just gonna let that slide for now?
No, I don't know. That guy doesn't do it, and nothing he does makes sense. So what should we expect? Competence from him?
Well,
you're not going to get that.
Someone wants to throw acid in his face.
Come on. You make me sound like you're putting words into my mouth.
Don't put words in your mouth. I'm putting things you said in your mouth.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I didn't mean
Even
to
though
kill.
he did say that.
I didn't mean to kill the guy. Like, I
No,
don't
he'll
wanna
be
kill-
fine.
I
No
wanna kill
one's died
anybody.
from no one's died from acid being thrown in their face before. You ever seen a Batman movie? They turn into a villain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of movies,
there you go.
Steven, you and I enjoy the Oscars. And yeah, we'll be talking about more movies in the off season, but there's a lot of news in the off season of football, and we'll talk about basketball and baseball, hopefully baseball if it exists. But we also got movies coming out, and we also got the Academy Awards coming out in March, and the nominees were revealed today. And just going through the Best Picture nominees, you got Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story, which was a movie back in the 60s, but yet it's nominated again. Steven, have you seen any of these movies?
They just bring back West Side Story and
It was a slow year. Let's just nominate a movie that was 50 years old.
Shout out to Ansel Elgort. Haven't seen any of that. Dude, like, what happened to the days of you going? I mean, I know COVID, but what happened to the days of like these movies actually meaning something? It just doesn't feel like people care about the Oscars anymore. Like, I think it has to do with like the streaming services and stuff.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these movies, I know The Power of the Dog is on Netflix. That's something that I do want to watch. It's like a cowboy. It's like a Western with Benedict Cumberbatch as the main character. He's supposed to be a Best Actor nominee too. Like,
apparently that's the favorite right now.
Yeah, and nobody even knows what it is.
Yeah,
it just feels.
I'll watch
like,
it eventually, but
it feels like these streaming services, man, putting them up there already with no theatrical release, and maybe it did have a theatrical release, and I'm just being totally off base with this, but like it doesn't seem to matter anymore. Nobody cares about the Oscars anymore.
Well, Hollywood does, but I hear you. Yes, the movies are downers. Like all of them last year, I remember just being like, what was it, Nomadland that won Best Picture, and I thought it was kind of boring. That's just me though.
Yeah.
I do love Oscar movies. I think Oscar movies were better back in the day, with the exception of in the last few years. Parasite was a fantastic movie. Did you ever see that?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Great movie. There was, like other, but I think movies have taken a hit in the last few years because of COVID. So, you're not going to get the big wide releases anymore, and mostly will be streaming platforms. But it's getting there. Like, Batman's coming out in a couple weeks. We'll talk about Jackass. That was a fun movie going experience that I had last weekend. But yeah, as far as like Oscar movies, like I just don't think we're getting great ones these days. I mean, I'm sure, film geeks are like tearing their hair out right now listening to us being like, you guys know nothing. But that's just my opinion. And I've seen some of these movies. Don't Look Up, I thought was okay. Licorice Pizza, I saw. It's an interesting movie. It's basically about a girl, a 25-year-old girl trying to get with a 15-year-old kid.
That's what I heard. Kind of weird.
Yeah. I'm trying. Have I seen any of these other ones? King Richard was on HBO Max for a minute, but I missed it. People love Dune, but I don't know anything about it. And Nightmare Alley.
You haven't seen Dune yet?
I haven't seen Dune. Is that went away on HBO Max too? I'm waiting for these movies to get back on HBO Max or whatever the streaming platforms will be. I know Nightmare Alley's on Hulu, so I'll check that out eventually. Yeah, I haven't seen any of these other ones though.
Kristen Stewart is
time.
Kristen Stewart is playing Princess Diana in a movie called Spencer. I think she was.
I heard that was good.
But dude, on Netflix, I don't know if it's still there or not. But my mom, being English, she was very pissed at this. There's a Diana the musical. There's a musical
about her being killed.
Yes. And the queen and their lives, and the queen is singing to Prince Charles, and Prince Charles is singing back to her about her love for Princess Diana, and my mom, his love, and my mom is like, the queen would never sing. It's like, They're trying to do all these different things, and if Spencer's good, then good. But random that Kristen. I never thought in my life that, when I'm watching Twilight, and whether you're team, I can't even remember the names, Robert Pattinson, Team Taylor, or Team Rob, whatever. But
Well, one of them's gonna be Batman in a couple weeks.
I never thought that the main character in that, Kristen Stewart, would be playing Princess Diana. But
I heard she's good in it.
there you go. There you go.
One movie I'm glad that was not nominated whatsoever was the Gucci movie. That was just
An extremely
terrible.
Gucci movie.
An extremely Gucci movie with Jared Leto doing his Mario impression. You can't do this to us. Oh my God, they're gonna take the company away from me. Oh, boppity boop.
Did Lady Gaga get snubbed?
No, yeah, Lady Gaga was not nominated.
Yeah, I heard. Was it a snub though? Do you consider that a snub?
I know a lot of people thought she did a great job. She did a good job. I don't think it was Oscar worthy though, in my opinion. A movie that was 100% snubbed. I'm trying to see if I see this at all in here. Not that I see. Okay. Did you ever see The Harder They Fall?
No.
The Harder They Fall is a movie on Netflix it's a Western with an all-black cast, and it has Idris Elba
in it, yeah.
as the bad guy, Regina King. Who else is in it? God. I can't think of any of the actors' names right now. Oh,
nothing like when you're explaining a movie and you just
yeah.
forget everyone that's in it.
I'm turning into my mom right now. It's that one actor, Lakeith Stanfield's in it. Zazie Beetz is in it. It's a really good movie. And I honestly, my favorite movie of this past year. I didn't see a ton of movies, but it was my favorite. And yeah, completely snubbed. I don't know if it would have gotten any like acting nominations, but as far as the writing and directing of it and the score, I thought it was a fantastic movie. And I would highly recommend you watch it, Stephen, because it's good.
I will.
Okay, then. But a movie that will never be nominated for the Oscars that both of us saw this weekend, Jackass Forever. Saw it last Saturday in a packed theater. And it's fun. It was just a fun time. Reminded me of the old days of being in college or even being in elementary school or high school watching Jackass. They do a lot of the old bits, but it's fun to see them in their 50s now doing it. A lot of penis in this one, more than I've ever seen in the other installments.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fun time of the movies, and if you're into those kind of movies, I'd say it's a fun time.
In sports, how we always talk about the veterans helping out the young guys. When we're talking about Kuminga and Moody, we're always talking about how Steph, Clay, and Dre have that much of an influence on them. Like there was something.
Had to get some young blood in this one.
There was something fatherly about like Johnny Knoxville and Steve-O and Chris Pontius, the way, because they had 4 newcomers, one of them being the first female, and you had Jasper from Odd Future. His time with Tyler, the Creator, and everything, is kind of his hype man and his best friend.
Tyler's in it.
Jasper's dad, who was hilarious.
What was that guy's name? Shark? Dark Shark?
Dark Shark.
Dark Shark.
Yeah, and then the big dude, Zach Holmes.
Oh,
like that guy could take some pain, man.
He can. Poopsies.
The thing is, though, yes, and Poopy.
But no, is it Poopsies or Poopy?
Poopy.
His name's Poopy.
I'm pretty sure it's Poopy.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like these dudes, like they didn't skip a beat with it. It's so good. And I got to go see it again. I'm happy to go see that again in theater, because that was just an hour and 50 minutes of nothing but laughs. And that opening scene.
Oh my God. Jalen Ramsey showed up in the movie
out of nowhere. Endanger Aaron, dude. Like, my God.
Yeah.
How can he can't have children, right? There's no way that man can have children, because in the I forgot what?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. I was just like, they're in their 50s now. At some point, are they just like, I have kids already, or fuck it, I don't want to have kids, and they just do all this harm to their genitals, like
everything.
I don't want to give it away, but like this was the most crotch involved of the movies, where they do pain to their dicks or their balls. It's brutal. at times.
I mean, there's
Um,
there's like 20 minutes dedicated to Danger Aaron just getting hit in the nuts, but in
Yeah.
very creative ways.
yeah.
Oh my, like I feel bad for him sometimes.
Yeah. No, well, there's especially one where I felt bad. Was like, God, he's going to see that in his nightmares. There's two of them. The one where I don't want to give it away, but where they lock him in the room and they do the night vision goggles. That would be traumatic to me. And then you see it in the trailers where he gets strapped to a chair and the bear comes in the room. It's the only time where I've seen. They always have like animal guys, like obviously Steve-O and Party Boy did the Wild Boys, so they always had animal experts there to help them out if anything went wrong. But this was the first time where you see it where the bear is getting close to Danger Aaron, and there's no more salmon in his pants, and he's just clawing at him. The guy's like, "I need to get in there. I got to save this guy's life at this point."
Yeah. Yeah.
They were all laughing about it, but just like at the same time, like Jesus Christ, these guys take it to like the limit. Like holy crap! And it's all just because they love doing it, and it's just fun watching like Johnny Knoxville, in his 50s now, going from dyed hair to full on gray, and yeah, like he does the bull stuff again, and this time it's extremely painful, but he just gets back up and does it again, and yeah, it's fun. The one part that made me sad was they do the marching band thing on the treadmill, and if you look closely, you see Bam Margera, and you're like, damn, what went wrong where he couldn't be involved in the movie? And it's just you read all the details where he's going through a rough time because Ryan Dunn has been dead for 10 years now, and they do a good ode to him at the end of the movie. But yeah, he's been going through alcoholism and depression, and they had to throw him off the set, and the director Jeff Tremaine had to get a restraining order from him. And it's just sad that he couldn't be a part of it because I don't know if this will be the last one, but they're not getting any younger, so it's just sad that he wasn't a part of it. But you see him in that one scene. Yeah, but all in all, it was a great time, fun movie.
And they're still making cameraman Lance barf.
Oh man, my favorite. Yeah, yeah, and he's still wearing his mask too. Like he's like about to throw up. He's like, dude, take your fucking mask off. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Eric Andre's in it. He didn't do any stunts. He was just there to like hang out, I think.
Yeah.
Chris Pontius, Party Boy, I thought like took a kind of a step back this time around where he doesn't do a lot of stunts.
Yeah, he didn't really do anything.
No. But he did do one impromptu thing that I won't talk about on the podcast. He drinks something.
Oh.
He wasn't asked to. He just drinks it. The funniest part to me was who's the older, bigger guy that would always chase Wee Man around?
Preston Lacey.
Preston Lacey. They're about to do a stunt where Wee Man and him are going to reenact Dirty Dancing, where Wee Man is the one holding up Preston Lacey, and Preston Lacey's a big dude. So I don't know how that was going to go. But before they do the stunt, Preston Lacey just comes out and goes, I shit my pants. Just like out of nowhere. He goes, oh, he starts to cry. He's like, I shit my pants. And the best line is, I'm 51 years old. I shit my pants.
I shit my pants. It was too good. It was so good. I gotta watch that again.
It was fun. Let's see. Was there anything else we wanted to talk about today? Oh, yes. Steven. Well, real quick here. Did you ever finish up Murderville?
I didn't yet. I still need to. Sharon
Stone does a fantastic job. She has fun with it and hangs in there with Will Arnett. That's a fantastic show. Kim Jong and who else is on that show?
Kumail Nanjiani.
Yes. They do well. They kind of break more, but Sharon Stone does a fantastic job. So that's
Annie
a good
Murphy
show.
was awful from Schitt's Creek. She just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, improv wasn't her game. She was very nervous, but it was fun. At the end of the day, it's a fun show.
Yeah, it's fun, but like at the same time, when she's not reacting and saying like anything,
I know that one was kind of rough. It's tough when Conan just blows it out of the water, and that's the first episode, and everyone's trying to like. I'm sure none of them saw what Conan did, but like to live up to what he did in the first episode is just tough.
But she's an actor. And
I know.
Marshawn like did more than just say, "Yeah, no." Yeah. Like, I like Annie Murphy too. I think she's really good in Schitt's Creek, and she was in Blue Mountain State for an episode. She was really funny there, but it's like, damn, you couldn't do it with the improv. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe they'll get, people that are more used to doing improv in the future. And then I watched a little bit of the first 3 episodes of Tommy and Pam on Hulu, show produced by Seth Rogen, and he's in the show. And yeah, he plays the guy that steals the sex tape from Tommy and Pam, if you know the story. And that's a fun show. And in the same vein of Jackass, a lot of penis in it. And it's done in a very interesting way. So if you ever see that, let me know, because it's a very interesting show.
Oh my God! Did I put my penis in a vase? What are we doing?
Is that your Patrick Mahomes or Seth Rogen?
That's my Seth Rogen impression.
Okay, it's not bad.
Yeah. So he punched him. He killed him. Oh my God! He shot him. What do I do?
That's pretty good, actually. That's pretty good. All right, real quick here, Steven. You want to talk about Blake Irwin, the son of Steve Irwin, running away from a crocodile?
Yeah, hang on. Wait, it's not Blake, is it? I
Is
thought
it-
it was Robert.
Am I having the wrong name here?
Are you talking about the the football player? Wasn't there a football player named Blake Irwin? No, his name's Robert Irwin, but he's Steve
Blake
Irwin's
Jarwin
son.
is what you're thinking of.
Oh, wow. But Robert Irwin is Steve Irwin's son, and there's a video of him going to feed this 12-foot crocodile named Casper. And
Casper the crocodile. I kind of like that.
And I actually really, I do follow like the daughter Bindi and him on Instagram both. And I guess it's for a show they're doing for Animal Planet, but it just made me sad because I know what his son's doing and then keeping the legacy alive. And that's what they love. That's what the Irwins love. The animals, keeping with animals, Australian Zoo, all the respect for them in the world. But it's like, I've never seen just a scene end where they're like holding out the meat and then the crocodile just comes walking out. And eventually he's just running away from him and just throwing whatever he has at him so that he'd stop chasing him. And the crocodile started chasing him alone. And it made me sad because I feel like the crocodile kind of knows like, hey, you're not your dad. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're not and it's no fault to him. He's going up against a freaking crocodile, but like, I was just like, damn, I wonder if that crocodile actually knew who Steve Irwin was. You know what I mean?
I knew your dad, man, and you are no Steve Irwin.
You know, right? Exactly. Right?
Well, Steven, I would say that it's always tough to follow in a father's footsteps. They cast a big shadow, and sometimes you just have to make your own platform. And, sometimes people compare you to your dad, and sometimes you just want to tell people to go fuck themselves. But sometimes you also just realize that they're your dad, and you're always going to have that shadow behind you. Excuse me, I have to call my therapist real quick.
No. But I mean, you should watch the video. It's like, damn, I'd be terrified if that was me. That the crocodile's just going after him. He's just like feeding him, clever girl, that kind of thing.
He says that?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, just from Jurassic Park.
I just made that up from Jurassic Park. But yeah, he's just backpedaling as the crocodile is chasing him and just throwing whatever he has. So he'd try and go after go after that.
What is Robert Irwin? Is he like an animal expert or?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a zookeeper. That's a bad look if he's running away from crocodiles.
Yeah, a little bit. It wasn't a great look, but you know what? It's happened before. And he made his first appearance when he was, I think he was on like Letterman or something like that. And, he was like showing animals and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to, they're trying to show people that animals aren't that bad, but then that happens.
And then animals go wrong.
Yeesh. Not good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that he wouldn't be able to keep up with the Jackass guys who they do a lot of animal stunts and they don't do anything, harmful to the animals, but they they do extreme stunts with the animals potentially hurting them, and they all, are up for the challenge. But it's interesting sometimes to watch, especially with Dave England in the not Dave England, Danger Aaron in the Bear. That was probably the most interesting one.
Oh. At some point, dude,
it's terrifying.
Like, at some point, you're just thinking they're just torturing this dude. I think that's what
the bear's
some people
just getting a meal out of it.
Some people in the theater were kind of I think they were a little unsettled just because, it's like Johnny Knoxville just like tasing him and then covering him in honey and then tasing him again and laughing the entire time, where this guy looks like he's genuinely being tortured.
Oh,
And
he was shaking.
then you think about the amount of money that they're getting paid to do this, then you kind of realize, okay, I could laugh at this. But like,
As long as it's Johnny doing it, because Johnny would never do anything that he wouldn't do himself.
right.
I do find it funny when the cast turns things on Jeff Tremaine, the director. Like Tyler, the creator, was pissed that he was playing a piano that was shocking him, and then he was like, "All right, you get on the fucking seat now, and you sit down." He started shocking the director. Yeah, that was the most, but that's not the first. Like that's kind of like a running joke with them with Jackass. Like they always push it to the limit with Danger Aaron. Like, do you remember? I think it was the second one. They put him in the back seat of the cab. And he thinks that the dude from Super Troopers is gonna kill him.
Yes. Yes. And then
Was that
it
Danger Aaron? Was that him doing that one?
that was Danger Aaron. And then
Yeah.
they covered him.
Looking back on that sketch, you could not do it today.
No,
But,
then they covered
yeah.
him in a beard, and it turned out to be all their pubes.
Yeah, I always think back to the second one where one of the more like cringy ones stunts they did was with the leeches. They put a leech on Steve-O's eyeball, and then they put it on one of the dude's nuts. And it felt like that was the case for most of this movie. Was just like, let's see how we can like push things and make the audience just that more unsettled with like close-ups and zooms of like what we're doing to our body parts.
Balls.
There's a lot of balls. A lot of balls.
Close-ups, and it's just ugh.
Yeah.
Gonna go see it
Well,
again, though.
Yeah, it's a good movie. And then on that note, ending on balls, I think we should call this one a day. All right, Steven, let's talk about it. What are you cool to do a show on Friday?
Yeah,
Okay, then. All right. So we'll be back 3:00 Friday.
maybe 3:30.
All right, 3. Steven's gotta get that nap in.
Maybe
so do I
4.
sometimes.
Maybe 4:00. I might have another
All
podcast.
right, keep
going on
pushing it.
before
Then.
that.
Keep pushing it.
Well,
Okay.
it's Friday. You kind of just sprung this on me last second. You know, what I
I'm
mean?
sorry.
I got other
I gotta
plans
work.
here.
I gotta do the old NFL honors on Thursday. You gonna watch?
fun.
Keegan Michael Key hosting?
Maybe.
I understand. You can always check back and see who won these awards later.
Yeah, I might do that.
That's totally fair. We'll be back on Friday with a brand new podcast, and we will do a deep dive into everything Super Bowl related, from the halftime show to the actual game itself. And God, I always get a little bit sad, Stephen, because this is the time of year where we get our last football game, and then the off season's fun and everything, but then I start to go into a deep depression, slowly dip into madness until we get the AFL.
God damn, just go exercise or something, man.
I do.
Go-
It's not enough sometimes.
Go run on those 2 treadmills in your room. Try and fix it. Spend your Sundays doing that, trying to fix your treadmill.
Yeah, I could actually start doing some important things like fixing my treadmill. You are
There you go.
correct. And thanks to you guys for watching and supporting us last weekend. We, between the show we did and the interview with my dad, we did a great numbers wise for podcast numbers. So thanks to you guys. If you enjoy the podcast, you like watching us do stupid shit, like, subscribe, and you say it better than me, Steven. What do people need to do in order for this thing to become a success?
Oh man, you could go to the podcast page, get us wherever you get your podcasts, except Spotify, because of that one podcast. I don't know. I think we pulled our podcast off of that streaming service just because of everything happening with Rogan, right? Oh, we weren't on that streaming
Sure,
service?
or we never asked to put our podcast on
There you
Spotify in the
go.
first
So
place.
you can go to Apple Podcasts.
Sure,
you
yeah,
can
we're doing it at a protest. Go with that. Sure.
download it, subscribe, then you can delete it, then you can subscribe again so we have more subscribers. You can give us a
that's a good
rating
way to do
of
it.
5 stars. You could review us. I think someone called us a Dumb and Dumber from the first episode. You
Yes.
can you can find us on YouTube. You can find our Instagram page. You can find us on Twitter at JYOM Podcast. We got all the ways for you to check it out. So go and do it now.
Do it, people. And thanks to all of you for watching us or listening to us. We'll see you guys on Friday. Steven, say what you always say, my friend.
And it's just our opinion, man.